Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the very first episode of Wed Chat Live. Woohoo! We're live with a brand new show this evening, and we're going to be coming to you from. We're going to be coming to you for the next few weeks. We're looking to do this quite regularly, to be honest, and we'll just be chatting about all things weddings. And what's our expertise? Well, my expertise is obviously music, and Pat's going to come into this in just a few moments, and he's all about the music as well. So I'm going to talk to Pat in just a couple of minutes, but we would really like your feedback. Ask any questions that you've got in the comments section. We want to come to that at some point, and we want to talk to you as well. So listen, I'm going to bring Pat on. Welcome, Pat. How are you doing?
I'm very well. How are you, Steve? You good?
You know, you're asking me how I am, but we have actually been on the line to each other for quite some time.
We have. I'm bored of you now.
I know, I'm sick as well. We've got about half an hour. You've only got about half an hour more of me to survive, so that's all right, isn't it?
Good.
So, you know, we did a little pilot and a test episode a couple of weeks ago, and you explained who you were, and I'm guessing that quite a lot of people who are watching this know who you are already, but why don't you just give us a little bit of a rundown as to who you are and
I'll do it again.
What it is that you do. Yeah, do it again.
I'll do it again. So my name's Pat. I'm a DJ, a wedding DJ, and also a wedding host. A difference between the two things: a wedding host is someone who looks after you all day long from when you arrive, and I might do your ceremony music or work with other artists to make sure that everything's happening for your ceremony on time. And then I stay with you all day long, entertain you during your wedding breakfast, and then I'm there as your evening DJ as well, and right the way through to the end.
Awesome. So,
Hotted.
So what is the difference between a host and a DJ?
So it is purely the fact that the host is there all day long. It's as simple as that. So I'd be there with you all day long. If I was your evening DJ, I'd be arriving in the evening and going from the evening for your first dance through to the end of the night.
Right, so, and don't be modest here, Pat. As I understand, I know, but don't be modest here. You get a little bit kind of shy when I say this, but it wouldn't be an understatement to say that you have seen it all in the wedding industry. You've been, you were voted best DJ in the UK. That's what was that? A Beader
Not
award?
In the wedding industry, though. In fairness, I'll be more modest than that. That was years ago in the nightclub industry. I was still in the nightclub industry. It was a Beader Award for the British Entertainments and Discotheques Association.
So at one point in time, you were voted the best DJ in the UK.
Yeah, well, it's a bit of a lie because technically the year I won it, 1999, they changed the category to Entertainment's Team of the Year, but it was the Mardi Gras and I was the head DJ. So I'm going to take it as yes, Stephen. Yes, absolutely.
I feel like you're being too modest here.
I am far too modest, always.
Okay, who we got on the feed here? We've got Sarah and Duster, Mikey, James. We've got Diane. Hello, everybody. We really want you to contribute to this as well. So put your thoughts and feelings into the comments, and we want to come to those at some point. The purpose of what we're doing is we're going to chat over the next few weeks about all aspects of wedding entertainment, and then maybe expand into other aspects of wedding planning and what have you as well. So this evening, what we really want to speak to you about is the fact that there are more options out there than the standard option that people go for when it comes to wedding entertainment. So Pat, my first question to you is, what is the thing that people most commonly just go to when they're booking their wedding entertainment?
Well, it's obvious. And it's so obvious because it's the best thing to go for.
Well, you would say
it's so
that.
Obvious. No, a DJ. Everybody, it's the cheapest form of entertainment in most people's eyes. So immediately venues push towards DJs. It's the first thing to get included in a package is, we'll put a DJ in the package for you. It'll be amazing. Oh, he's great. He'll play all the big hits. And
Dexy's Midnight Runners.
The thing that everyone... Sorry, I missed that.
Dexy's Midnight Runners.
Dexy's Midnight Runners. No, but I won't say it's always your standard cliched DJs because it actually has moved forward in recent years.
Okay,
not by much, but it's moved forward a little bit.
And in the industry, we have a little bit of an in-joke with DJs. We talk about 60 quid SIDs, don't we? So what's a 60 quid SID?
Well, again, if we're honest, they don't tend to apply to the wedding industry. Their DJs will work for 60 quid. They tend to be the guys who will work in the local village pub for pints rather than and no invoices.
Yeah, we're talking
guarantee,
about we talking about people who do it as a hobby, and there's a risk associated with getting a 60 quid SID at your wedding, isn't it? Have you? I'm going to put you on the spot here. I didn't prepare you for this question, but have you got any horror stories of 60 quid SIDs that you can share with us?
Hundreds. No, I can't. The worst thing. I used to work for a large company, and we had to sort of divert the phones after a certain point in night, because you do, of course, you get what you pay for ultimately. So if people don't turn up to a gig, that's obviously the biggest challenge you've got there, and nobody wants that to happen. But effectively, I mean, I as we said before, I used to work for quite a large company, and we would carry around about £15,000 worth of equipment in our brand new vehicles,
wow, yeah,
which all had to be under a certain age and had to have breakdown insurance. And it's little things like that it is worth actually having at least a knowledge of who's doing your disco. If you've got a wedding DJ in your package, it's not a problem in the world, but make sure you meet them at least. You need to know who it is that's going to be looking after you for sure, don't you?
Yeah, of course. And some places, I mean, in my experience, resident DJs at weddings are kind of like a little bit hit and miss sometimes, aren't they? They can either be good, okay, or really quite terrible, and people just won't notice the difference unless something actually goes horribly wrong. But the thing we're going to discuss tonight is everybody automatically goes for the DJ, and a DJ is great, but what actual other options are there out for people when they're booking their entertainment?
Well, obviously there's yourself, there's your singer. There's the singers with backing tracks. So you've got your singers who are your and again, these work very well during wedding breakfast as well. You're kind of sing-along artists, so you'll have your kind of croony style, your Paul Guards of this world. Why have I only got Paul's name in my head? I can't think.
Howard
who
Wing.
else have we got? Come on,
we've got Howard Wing. Singing waiters.
Lovely Howard Wing. Yeah, and many, many, many more. Gentlemen, if you're watching this back, I apologise. My brain's gone blank. But there's loads and loads of guys. We've also got our singing waiters who can come in during your wedding breakfast and be a bit theatrical and fall over themselves and then find themselves singing. That was a great description of a singing waiter. And again, those guys kind of do evening sets as well. Right the way up to your bands, to your sort of 5-piece, 12-piece bands and everything in between. And then we have accompaniments as well. So you've got increasingly common your bongo players, maybe electric strings. So that's string artists.
Hang on, if people have never seen bongo players at a wedding before, I think the image that would come into my mind is just a guy with a couple of bongos. It doesn't work. It's not just a guy who turns up with a couple of bongos and starts like banging on them, is it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Is it like Andy Kaufman?
No. No, it's someone playing along to the music. So a bongo player kind of playing along to the music. Check me out. Playing along to the music. Normally dance music. Oh, yeah, you get into that rhythm already. You're riding that rhythm. Or it could be a sax player. Sax is really, really current right now, where a sax player coming in and playing along to the music the DJ's playing.
Yeah, and that's got shades of that's got shades of Ibiza, hasn't it? From where the 18 to 30s holidays, and people go to Ibiza, they get in the pool, and there's a sax player playing along with the DJ there, isn't there?
Is that what you're going to go with? Yeah.
What? What do you mean? I don't know. It's not my
holidays.
scene.
I like the idea of you on an 1830 holiday.
No, an 18 to 30s holiday. I'm way past that, mate. But listen, it's not my scene either. So, like, for me, it's just. No, I'm a quiet sort of like slippers and pipe kind of guy, and that leads us nicely into actually knowing that there are other options if you want a more chilled out wedding, isn't there?
Absolutely. I mean, the thing I would say, and the thing that has moved forward with DJs is there's been big changes in the nightclub industry. There's been big changes in the venue bar industry, and there's been big changes in commercial radio, and those three things combined have led to really high-end professionals being available to do your wedding. And this has only happened probably, this perfect storm of unemployment has only probably happened in the last 5 or 6 years. It's not something that's been prevalent for a long, long time. So the ability to have somebody who was the DJ at that big club night you used to go to that's a thing. You can have that now. Or that DJ you used to listen to on the radio on Capital or Galaxy, or in Ryan Smith's case, 2BR, or wherever. These guys, they're available now, and they're available to DJ at your actual wedding.
Yeah, sure. And so as a DJ who's obviously worked with lots of different types of acts, what names have you seen turn up at weddings?
As DJs?
Well, not just as DJs, but any entertainment. Have you worked with any sort of like well-known people that people go, I didn't even know that person would do a wedding?
Loads. Can I remember anything past last weekend?
Did it?
No.
Didn't Ed Sheeran do a wedding?
NDA thing. That's just my mind's just not where it used to be.
Didn't Ed Sheeran do a wedding for at one of the big companies that you were working for?
He did. It did. Ed Sheeran. There's been another company up in Scotland. A friend of mine did a gig with. Oh, take that, Gary Barlow.
Gary Barlow, yeah, he did a number of weddings a couple of years ago.
Gary Barlow, yeah, that was quite random.
I had somebody mention a little while ago that they were doing a wedding with Callum Scott. You know, the guy who sings "Dancing on My Own." Yeah. People you can get anything for entertainment these days if you've got the budget for it. So that's a little bit of a rundown of what the kinds of entertainment that you can actually have at your wedding.
We got any questions yet?
Have we got any questions in the comments? I don't think we've got any questions in the comments. We've got a lot of good evenings. Let's say hello to some people in the comments. Hello, Steve. Hello, Dimfner. Hello, Vera. Hello, Lee. Hello, Christopher Lewis is watching as well. Our good buddy Christopher Lewis.
Oh, he's a lovely man.
He's a sweet guy. He's got a nice little beard there going on as well, which we really appreciate. And Andy Murphy's watching us as well. He hasn't said anything yet, but Andy's just lurking in the background. Andy's a DJ himself. National award-winning DJ, no less.
National award-winning DJ, indeed. So
when we talked about like a really wide range of options, and if they are there, Jude is saying hello as well, and Alex is here as well. I'm sorry if I'm just jumping out here and talking to the comments. Christopher says, you're too kind. We are too kind. We should insult him the next time he's on the feed, and then he'll love that. So yeah, with all those options out there, it can be a little bit dizzying and overwhelming. So how do couples go about narrowing down their entertainment options when it comes to that part of the planning?
Well, I would start with, what can you afford? So look at your wedding budget overall. We had some stats earlier. You sent me something through, and it was, I think it was, who was it, Steve? Help me out.
Bridebook.
Yeah. Their stats said that the average price of a wedding was around 11,000.
17,000. 17,000.
Sorry, Stephen.
17,674. And we're going to
get exactly. Homework.
Well, they spent a lot of money on this report. We're actually quoting from the Bridebook 2019 wedding report, which they did in conjunction with Damien and Anna at the Wedding Industry Awards. And that gives a breakdown of what people spend, what days of the week they get married, where most of the weddings take place, what type of ceremonies they have, and obviously as entertainers for the purposes of this broadcast, we've zeroed in on the entertainment here. And hang on, stop, hold the phone. Donna says, "Don't forget me." Hello. So hi, Donna.
Hi, Donna.
Good to see you as well.
Sorry, I didn't forget you, Donna. It was all Steve. He forgot you.
It's true. I'm so sorry. So we're quoting from the Bridebook report here, and it says the average cost of a wedding in 2018, and this is according to their statistics. I think if you go to other reports, you'll get varying kind of like costs, but their average cost is 17,674. Could you hazard a guess? You've got the stats in front of you, haven't you?
I've got it in front of me now. I can see it.
Okay, well, let's ask the people in the... Let's ask the people in the comments if the average spend of a wedding for 2018 was 17,674. How much of that do you think in the comments was spent on entertainment? And we'll come back to that question in just a moment. So that kind of leads into Pat. You were saying, how much can we afford? Take us from there. Where would you go after that?
Oh, but you see, this is going to cause me a problem now, because everyone's going to be guessing and I'm giving them a clue. But I'm going to give you a clue because I figure, and it doesn't equate to the figure that Steve's got on the screen here. In fact, if it helps you, it's much lower, the figure he's got on the screen. The figure I was quoted, and it makes a lot of sense, is 10%.
That's exactly what Christopher Lewis has just said. And
has he put 10%?
Yeah, he said 10%. It just popped up in my comments. And also,
wow. Well done, Christopher.
Alex Hurren says, is the 17,000 including VAT? I think it's the full spend. Yes.
I'll be honest, I don't think it's accurate. I've seen much higher figures than that. The figure I saw was 32, which is nearly double that figure. But if Bride Books say it's 17,674, then that must be right. That must be Bride Books.
Well, I think it's according to how many people they surveyed. I mean, it's a very, very thorough report, and you can actually buy it online if you go to Bride Book. It's available to purchase. But yeah, there's Christopher said 10%. You say 10%. Why do you say 10%?
I think there's a number of reasons. The first thing is, of course, nobody. It's that old cliche, the old roadies cliche. No one goes away humming the lights, but nobody goes away humming about the centerpieces. And by the way, there will be centerpiece companies going, "How dare he!" right now, but they don't. I mean, let's be honest. You need to have good entertainment.
It's not peripheral, is what you're saying. It's not decorative like a centre. I think I'm just going to bring a bit of diplomacy in here for the people who do centerpieces. many centerpieces that we see out there and chair covers, they're all decorative, but they're not integral to the part of to the running of the day. They are certainly integral to like the photographs and things like that. But you know, your musical entertainment is one of the things that people are going to go away and remember. That's what you're trying to say, isn't it?
That's exactly what I'm trying to say, Steve. I thought you were less diplomatic than me there, by the way. That was brilliant. You're like a young Terry Christensen, so you are. But yeah, no, totally. I think that it's something you need to leave your guests with a night they're going to remember.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other advice I'd give you is keep it. People know I use this word far too much. Congruent. Keep it congruent. Keep it so that it feels like your wedding. If it doesn't feel like your wedding, right? So if your night consists of bingo or an occasional out to Yates's, booking this big Ibiza experience for your friends who've never been on that journey with you is going to be somewhat bewildering for them. Absolutely.
Really, really good point there. And Andy Murphy's chipped in here. He says,
"Hey, Andy Murphy.
The Murphs."
Hello, Andy.
Duster, I'm interested in something Duster said here. She said, "I've been to some boring weddings." Duster, what made them boring? And don't name the couple, or give any clue as to who they are, because just by some happens that there are billions and billions of people who use Facebook. They might be here, you never know. So we've got to be very careful.
Is Duster in the States? Am I right in saying that Duster's in the States?
I believe that Duster is in the States, and she is neither a duster nor a sewing machine. So.
Okay. Thanks for that clarification.
Thanks. I need a laughter track on here. Hang on. No, Lee. Christopher is not your DJ. Christopher is a photographer. Your DJ is Ryan Smith, who will be dutifully watching.
Oh, lovely, Ryan.
Laura keeps swapping us over. Laura's doing all of the...
What's she doing?
She's singing.
I can't see.
You can't see it. No, she's swapping us. 1 minute you're on the left, and then the next time she does it, you're on the right.
To talk.
Oh, I can see me on the other screen now. It's quite creepy.
And I don't have a clue.
It's all gone quiet.
It's gone quiet. Laura just said something, so I've turned you down. Oh. She was just saying that she got left-right dyslexia, so she's getting a little bit confused. Ryan is a lovely bloke. Yes, Pat was busy on that day. Don't tell him that Ryan was our second choice. Oh my goodness. Duster says no music or very little music, and that's something. I mean, you wouldn't believe what music actually brings to the day, would you? Really? I mean, well, tell us why people should have musical entertainment, Pat.
I mean, for me, everyone's got their own journey. For me, music is really, really, really important to anything I do. It's my job. So you're picking a really nice biased person to pick on there. But really, it's not just music. It's the right music. I think that's the key message here. It's about getting something that's suitably you, and making sure that if you have a DJ, that DJ is following through with your wishes and your demands, and making sure that that wedding feels like your wedding. And if you've got a singer that you're having a conversation with them and you're meeting them and you know who they are and you know what they do, what their repertoire is and how they're going to perform, and just knowing that the package of entertainment you've got is right for you and your party, and that it ultimately feels like your wedding. For some people, and you were saying before about it, but there's nothing wrong with a quieter wedding at all. But just make sure that everybody knows that's what you want to have. If you'd rather have a laid out chilled affair, there's nothing wrong in the world with that. I did a wedding last year with Paddy Higginson on sax, and it was a resident venue that for me at the time, a venue in Worley, and it was a red hot day. We had that really, really, really hot summer last year.
Oh, do I ever remember it?
And there was no air conditioning in this venue. So we broke out onto the terrace and had a party on the terrace for a couple of hours until the sun came down.
Brilliant.
And it was, but the bride and the groom, they went to Ibiza every year. It was a big part of their, of their friend's journey. It was their journey as well. They'd been going there for years. They were an older couple as well. And it worked brilliant. We went straight into a sunset. And then did the first dance on the sunset with everyone gathered on the terrace. And nobody was really dancing. They were sort of jiggling around. They weren't dancing. They were just sort of enjoying themselves, enjoying that ambience.
Yes.
And then later on, we went into a band set, and it was great.
I think that's a really good point. And if you go, so if a couple's starting their journey, they go to Google and they type in wedding entertainment, they're going to get like a list of agencies, a list of different people, and then they might click on one of those agencies and say, right, we want, I'll say this because it's me, we want an acoustic guitarist, and then they get a list of 40 acoustic guitarists. How do you go about as a couple narrowing down the music that you want, the entertainment that you want at your wedding?
Listen, and that's the first thing. You need to go and see those artists somehow in some way and get a short list together. The short list I'd be picking would be...
Paddy Higginson's watching. He's just
Paddy Higginson watching?
He's watching. He's just giving you a little thumbs up.
A lovely man is Paddy Higginson. I'll share a Paddy Higginson story in a bit. But the first bit is to go and see that entertainment, is to go and make sure that you can go out there and see them in whatever way, at least meet them face to face at a wedding fair or whatever you can, and check out their reviews and make sure. I mean, we do live in a sort of fake news world. It is quite easy to get fake reviews, apparently.
Yes.
I don't know how, and if anybody does know how, if they can let me know, that'd be amazing.
I can tell you exactly how, but I'm not going to mention it on this feed because I don't want to give anybody ammunition.
But check out people's reviews and try and go into the reviews and drill down into who the bride and groom are, and go back and have a look at their Facebook page and make sure they were wearing a white dress, either of them, in and around that date. Just make sure that it all sort of ties up and what have you.
You told me something the other day which I thought was quite interesting, that I'd never really considered doing myself, and that's you speak to a number of your brides who really like what you do, and you say, would you mind if future brides reached out to you by email or Facebook Messenger or something like that? Never really thought of that before. How's that gone for you?
Really, really well. And I find that most brides that I've dealt with are almost evangelical about the services I offer.
Evangelical, great word. Yeah. Hi, Harry. Good to see Harry Meredith.
You need Pat at your wedding. Absolutely. And I'm sure it's the same for you.
Well, I don't like to boast, but Harry Meredith's here as well. So hi, Harry.
Hi, Harry.
Good.
Oh,
so
Harry. We need to talk about Harry.
Okay, tell me about Harry. I don't know Harry very well, so I think you know Harry better than I do. So you tell.
Is it Sax Fit or Fit Sax?
Oh, do you know what? That was on Facebook today, wasn't it? Sax Fit. He's clapping you, Harry. He's clapping you if you can't hear that.
Absolutely love it.
It was good.
And Harry just looks so in the zone. You do, Harry. You look like you're proper in the zone on it. I think that. I mean, I live in Bradford. I think you live near Bradford. I think we should go to Sax Fit.
Well, Andy Murphy's saying he's going to go to Sax Fit next time it's on. So maybe we should have a wedding. Alex Birtwell's watching now. We've got Christopher. We've got all these wedding industry professionals here. We should have a wedding industry professional Sax Fit session with Harry and Ellie.
We could all do with it.
Says, why must we always talk about my wife? We'll leave that one there.
Harry.
Well, listen.
Harry, let's talk about his lasers. Harry's got lovely lasers.
Isn't it, Harry, isn't your name Laserboy? Isn't he? Is it Harry Laserboy?
He's Laserboy.
So, Andy's got a couple of questions here, which are not kind of related to the topic as such, but are musically based. So we'll go with these, right? He wants to know,
Okay.
Pat, what is the funniest or strangest thing you've ever seen at a wedding?
Oh, goodness me.
Is it the guy who snapped his ankle?
Oh, I can't. Wedding. So many, Andy. Come back to that. Do come back to it, though. Come back to it. I'll think.
Okay, right. So he asked.
I think.
So Andy's.
What's the funniest, Steve? Let's turn that on you first of all, because I might have an answer by the time you finish. Go on, Steve. What's the funniest thing you have seen at a wedding? And if it does not involve, right, just so we're clear, Stephen and I have got an in-joke here. It does not involve celebration by Kool and the Gang.
Oh, okay, that's an in-joke, right? That's an in-joke. We might come back to that one day. Okay, right. I'll tell you a really quick one, and it wasn't funny at the time, because I have a sitting just behind me here is my Gibson Hummingbird. This is a very, very expensive and very beautiful guitar, and it was. Alex is saying the ankle snap was hilarious. I bet it wasn't hilarious at the time. So yeah, this is a very, very expensive guitar, and I went all the way down to Tunbridge Wells to one of the poshest weddings that I've ever done. I mean, it was uber posh. All of the bride's family had flown in from New York, and in the middle of me setting my DJ booth up, it fell and my guitar was knocked to the ground and it snapped the headstock, and I didn't have a spare guitar. So I rang my wife, who's sitting next to me giggling right now, and I said I was literally crying down the phone, and she said, go out and get a new guitar. And I had to go out and get a new guitar right there and then. And when we came back, I tried to help the guy with the hog roast out of the oven, and I split the back end of my trousers, and I didn't have a spare pair of trousers with me either. So I was out there in the baking heat with things hanging out that shouldn't have been hanging out. And yeah, that was hilarious and unintentionally hilarious, and now something I can laugh at, but was devastating at the time.
Okay, I've thought of one, and I actually thought of 3 or 4 while you were talking, and I think this is probably
thanks for listening.
The least embarrassing for me personally. I was at a wedding at the same venue. This is all very in now. At the same venue in Worley, and it was a very long best man speech, and he was quite drunk, and having already insulted the bride and the bride's family, he then went on to reverse into the 3-tier cake. And the master of ceremonies, who at the time, he's a very famous man, was the master of ceremonies there at the time. And he, as he is very military, in a very military style, managed to sweep in and collect both levels of the cake, and stood there going, hovering the 2 layers above the one that collapsed. And I kind of moved in casually and removed the top layer, and we walked out into the kitchen ceremoniously, sort of walked off with the cake. That's about the cleanest story I've got, I'm afraid, Andy.
Oh no. Is everything else dirty?
That. What's his other question?
His other question was, what's my all-time favourite song? I know you're into Acid House, Pat. What
am I into Acid House? I started as an Acid House specialist.
Okay.
That's how I started, an Acid House specialist.
I can tell you what my absolute favourite all-time song is, and it's probably going to come as a bit of a surprise. It's actually by the Moody Blues. It's a song called Forever Autumn from the War of the Worlds.
Oh, wow.
The reason it is my all-time favourite song is because it reminds me of my dad. And I used to be terrified of War of the Worlds, and I used to sit behind the sofa watching the EQ levels going up and down on my dad's stereo, and he used to be sat with his headphones just sort of like bopping about. He loved the War of the Worlds, and just every time I hear that song, I can hear him singing it. It's just one of those really vivid memories from my childhood, so it's my all-time favourite song, and it's beautiful. What's yours?
Oh, my favourite song of all time?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if I've... It's so awful, isn't it? I don't have one.
Is it by the Venga Boys?
Should be, shouldn't it? No, it's really not. I don't know. I've got loads. I'm a big fan of music, so I love music. I think my moves all the time. I've got a big thing for the early Jamiroquai stuff.
Oh, really? Like Virtual Insanity?
Yeah, and early sort of acid jazz, brand new heavies and stuff like that.
That's
yeah,
cool.
I'm more that kind of. If that's my go-to off piste when I'm not working, for sure.
So listen, back on topic for
Yes,
a little
sir.
while. Thanks for those questions, Andy. Really appreciate it. You took us off topic. It's like, do you know when you were at school and
Yeah.
you had various teachers and you knew how to get them off topic? we had a teacher. I had a teacher at school, my drama teacher, who if you want to get him off the lesson, you'd just sort of like ask him about grammar because he'd be proper preachy about it. And what was it? Did you have one? You'd go, oh, but that's not right. That's the yeah. Yeah, so we've all had a teacher at school, and that's what Andy's done there with those questions. He's got us off topic.
We love your questions.
Thank you very much. Keep bringing your questions in, and listen.
Listen to him.
Laura, can you put this up on the screen? If you type the word chat into the comments, we'll send you a message and you can get updates when we go live. We're going live every Thursday, and it's also the Wed Sounds live show on Sunday at 8 o'clock as well, where I'll be myself and Laura will be taking your requests. And when I say myself and Laura, I'll be singing them. Laura will be in the background giggling and laughing and doing switching stuff, but she won't be singing because she refuses to do that or appear on camera. But hey, Victoria says she had a teacher who used to talk about
Hey.
Victoria says that she had a teacher who used to talk about her periods.
Ooh.
I don't know whether she's
a male
referring
teacher or a female teacher.
Well, I'm
You
assuming
never want
since
to
she
go
said
there,
her.
really, do you?
I'm assuming since she said her, it's going to be her.
Oh,
period.
her. All right.
Maybe
I
she
can't read the comments. Sorry.
Maybe she was talking about her periods as in what she was doing. Lesson 1, lesson 2, period 3, period 4. Maybe it was like that. Yeah, so listen, type chat in the comments and we'll send you a message, and we would love to have you on our list so that we can message you whenever we go live. We've been talking today about how do you pick the right entertainment for you, because everybody just goes for a DJ, and we've outlined some of the other options that are there for you as well. So just as we wrap up, Pat, what would you say the big takeaways? So if you can just put it into bullet point form for us, what would you say to a couple when they're coming to plan their entertainment and how they choose the right entertainment for themselves?
So starting with DJs. If the venue have said to you, we've got a DJ and the DJ is included in your package, that's wonderful. It's going to save you some money maybe. What does that mean? Who is that DJ? Can we have a look at him? Can we meet him? Can we have a look at his equipment? Do we know what that looks and feels and sounds like? Can we interject with the playlist?
Yeah.
Can we put our wants into that? If you can't, it's worth asking, can you bring somebody else in? When it comes to your bands, have a look online, by all means. Don't believe that everything you see in terms of the internet is real. Try and see people face to face if you possibly can, and where possible. Some of the bigger companies do showcases. It's certainly in the Northwest. I haven't seen any. Are there any in Yorkshire, Steve? Actually,
there are some. There are some in Yorkshire. Yes. So there's one company in particular that does quite a lot of music showcases throughout the year, where they will send on the bands for like a 20-minute set, and they'll have a variety of stuff that at the end you can chat to them about booking as well. They're very, very useful things to go to see who you connect with, because some people might want a more soul and more towny kind of thing, and some people might want, a rock band. I mean, there's a band that work for one of the big agencies exclusively, and they do exclusively 90s indie music, and that might be something. So you might say, well, let's have a DJ early on in the evening. Let's play all the classics, your Dexys, Midnight Runners, I Think We're Alone Now, and then at 10 o'clock we'll have the. I know it all.
No, let's not do that.
And then later on in the evening, let's just us and our friends from 10 o'clock until 12 o'clock. Let's have this indie band on that are doing all of the indie numbers. So yeah, there's showcases available to go and see that kind of thing in Yorkshire as well.
So see your showcase. Ask your friends. Ask people you know who have been recently married what entertainment they had and how that panned out for them. But do enjoy it. Enjoy the process of getting involved in entertainment, and try and book something that's book something that reminds you of that big night out. Book something that reminds you of you as a couple, something that brings you and your family and your friends together.
Harry says, stop giving away my set list, which I think he's talking about. What's Harry's
think
set
we're alone
list?
now.
So Dexy's Midnight Runners. He's Tiffany, Cyndi Lauper. What else would Harry play?
Harry.
Yeah, Harry
he's
Meredith.
Definitely a Venga Boys kind of guy.
Yeah, it's a bit too modern, isn't it? It's a bit
Okay,
too
Gina G. Maybe a bit
more,
Gina G.
Le Freak. C'est chic. Le Freak. Another question here as well. I'm not quite sure what Dustin means by this, but she says, should there be a backup? Do you mean, Dustin, do you mean should there be a backup of equipment?
It's interesting, actually. In terms of equipment, I'll answer the question in terms of equipment. Yes, and your DJ should have a full redundancy in everything they do. And what we mean by that is if you're using speakers that are powered, that they obviously are independent, so you've got 100%. If one goes down, you've got the other one. They should have a spare mixer. They should have a spare microphone. Mm-hmm. They should have spare headphones. They should have, if they're using a computer, they should have a spare computer or a spare MacBook. And really do drill down on that and make sure that that is something that happens. In the nicest possible way, computers do go wrong. The other thing to ask, and this is more independent DJs, and this certainly applies to me as well. If you're not booking a DJ from an agency, if you're booking them directly, it's asking the question, what would happen if you were ill? You know, if you can't make it for whatever reason, what would happen?
That is actually a really, really good question, and I'll address that for just a moment. Duster says, like, if the person doesn't show or something happens. Now, I have been doing this for 7 or 8 years now, and there's only once I've had to not go to a wedding. I couldn't breathe. I had a terrible chest infection, and I have backups, people that I call on, and I was able to get cover the night before with someone else. They weren't able to do the daytime, unfortunately, but they did go and do the evening. So there's always a backup in place. People have networks. We're not a lone island when it comes to when it comes to entertainment. We know each other. Myself and Pat work together. You know, if me and Pat, if something happens, you know, God forbid, one of us, you know, can't make it for some reason, at least the other person's there. And those are good questions to ask as well. Alex.
Absolutely.
Alex says here, what you like and want, not what you think your guests or mum wants. Now, I agree with that to a point, but you've got a lot of people to cater for at a wedding as well, haven't you?
You have. I always think it's nice to have a nod to both, and I think that, you know, where let's give an example. I'm trying to give an example of a wedding that isn't a wedding, that is a recent example. But if you're heavily into dance music, are all your guests? And if they're not, is there something else? Is there another form of entertainment you can put in conjunction with your DJ to make it so you've got a specialist part later on? Another thing you could consider is having a more standard format of entertainment earlier on in the evening, and then having a false end of night. So you say finish your night with a big celebration at 11 o'clock, but then continue your party into an after party that actually is much more in keeping with what you do. So it could be a good example. My sister's wedding's forthcoming, and she wants to have a specialist house DJ to do that party later on.
Yeah, really good point.
So we're going to do a false ending to the party. If people want to stay beyond that point, it's not a problem in the world, but just understand that by staying, you're giving us artistic license to go down a very deep, dark, housey route.
So what you're talking about is you can actually talk with your entertainment about sectioning up the night. And I know I'm doing a wedding in August where the couple have got me for the full day, and they wanted a band in the evening. Now, I don't have a band option. I'm a one-man show. So I said...
A one-man band?
I'm a one-man... No, don't call me a one-man band. I'm rejecting that title. But because it's just me, they have me... They decide... I said, well, look, you know, I have a minimum price on my packages. in Saturdays in the summer. So I said, why don't you have me on first in the evening, and I'll kind of be a support to the band that you've got coming in the evening. So the band in the evening agreed that they would come a little bit later, so I'll support the band. So there's always ways of kind of sectioning, chopping this up, so that something like Donna says, I like to keep everyone happy. I like to keep everyone happy so that people will be happy. You don't need to go overboard with it, but I think you make a really good point there, Pat, in saying that you don't necessarily have to have the same thing all the way through. We're going to have to sort of finish the broadcast now. I want to thank everybody for watching. One more opportunity to type chat in the comments, and we'll send you a message when we go live. Wed Sounds Live is going to be on Sunday at 8 o'clock, which is a request show. Thank you very much, everybody, for watching. Thank you for your contributions, and thank you very much to Pat. And we will see you next Thursday at 8:30 p.m. for the next edition of Wed Chat Live. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.